And we're back in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me today, I have television royalty. Yes, you heard it, you heard it, absolutely, absolutely. She's shaking her head, but trust me, she is television royalty. She was, in the day, the youngest presenter on Blue Peter. She was a presenter on Saturday Superstore, a presenter on Going Live. She's popped up on This Morning. She's here, there, and everywhere. And for 30 years, ladies and gentlemen, she has not returned any of my calls. But here she is, live in living color on the Caiman show. I got 3 words for you. Sarah frickin' Greene. Welcome.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thank you very much indeed, Caiman. It is a joy to be here. And you're not old enough to have been calling me for 30 years. and if you were, and if you had been, I would have returned those calls. I seem to think I came to you, actually. I think I did, because I saw the interview that you did with Tristan Simon. Which wasn't that long ago, was it?
3 weeks ago, I believe. Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
That, and I was drawn in, and I thought, I really like this. And you got in touch with me, and here we are talking. You in Merthyr Tydfil.
Brilliant stuff. No, it's great. Yeah, Merthyr Tydfil. So obviously, not everyone knows where Merthyr Tydfil is. Yourself, of course, you've kind of got a link here. Should we talk about that? So your link is in the Rhymney Valley. So I believe it was your father, Harry, who was from the Rhymney Valley. Yes. So he was a DIY expert and the television personality. Is that correct?
Well, we could spend the next 40 minutes just talking about
we can if you want.
Nothing would give me greater joy. And he would love that, wouldn't you, Dad? Yes, he would.
God bless.
He would adore that. But he was actually born in Blackwood.
I know Blackwood very well.
Yes, that's right. And the family moved to Rhymney a little bit later on. But he, after the war, during the war, he was only 16, 17, but he was a brilliant draftsman. He'd won all the prizes at the Eisteddfod and
awesome.
and for art. And he was snapped up by the MOD to do drawings of tanks and things like that,
wow.
In secret. But he was taken as a teenager to Manchester, had an awful time, had to sleep in this damp basement, and just had it wasn't the most. It sounds as though it'd be exciting, that's to do that. It really wasn't. And then came back to Rhymney and went off to art college and university in Cardiff after the war. Then went and became a teacher. Came back to Rhymney to teach and to Merthyr.
Fantastic.
He was at Merthyr, I think he was at the grammar school, he taught there.
Yeah.
And he'd always loved theatre and always loved film and radio and done all that while he got the opportunity at Cardiff University and at Art College. And he had heard about this amazing travelling group of players that were then called the Red Megaphones and became Joan Littlewood's Theatre Workshop.
Right, okay.
He encouraged them to come and visit the school and do a performance there. They did a performance there, and the headmaster knew what Harry's ambitions were really, which were much more toward performing as well as the art and building and designing and all of that. And the headmaster, Joan Littlewood, said, well, I'm doing Henry V is the next play we're doing on tour.
Brilliant.
I wonder if there's an Owen Glendower here. And she took one look at my dad and she said, well, you're more like Tyrone Power. And so we'll have you. Can you build a set? Can you design a set? Can you make costumes? And he said, Joan, I can do it all. Can you leave tonight? Yes, I can.
On it.
And that was it. And off he went. And the rest, as they say, is history. But he'd always retained those links.
Yeah.
Obviously, because his mum was still living in Rhymney. My aunt Mary Church, was living there. His 2 brothers had gone further afield. The eldest going to Canada, but people always sort of that was the era of leaving, wasn't it? Of travel.
That's it.
After the war, of going off to either live in Australia or Canada or
yeah.
else. My dad toured a lot, but he was then based in London with Theatre Workshop in the East End of London for the next 5 years. And that's where he met my mum. My mum had come from Birmingham. You know, equally, my dad had come from a family that had worked around the railways and the mines. And my mum came from a family that worked around the car industry, the emerging car industry.
Yeah.
And they both ran off to join the circus.
Really?
They'd only known each other 3 years, and then I came along.
Fantastic. Welcome to the world. Brilliant stuff. So home very much was where the heart is, or where the heart was for your father.
Yes.
The Rumney Valley, a massive place.
Wherever my mother was, you know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Brilliant stuff.
But no, he always, as I say, he retained his links all the time. And you know, we as kids used to come back and stay with Nana and Auntie Mary and Uncle Ken and my cousin and everything. And Auntie Bess lived in Merthyr, and she was my great auntie. And I never forget, she was like little Mrs. Tiggywinkle in Britain. She was lovely. When she caught sight of my little sister, who was then a baby for the first time, she said, "Oh, look, the little baby."
You got the accent down.
I know, I can actually.
Down to a T.
Well, it's in me, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. That's it. It's 50%, isn't it? You know, it's you. Brilliant stuff.
Back to do the lovely show that was developed by BBC Wales, who in fact invented the whole genre of Who Do You Think You Are? That went to BBC. They started all off with a show called Coming Home.
Right. And
not long after my mum died, the following year, they asked me if I would take part in that, and it's tracing your roots back in Wales. So it's for people whose forebears are from Wales, even if they weren't, well, they essentially weren't meant to be born in Wales to do the show. But I pushed the rules slightly in that I asked if I could do it with my dad.
Oh, wow.
With me, which I think was quite lovely for him to do, and it was just gorgeous for me to work with him. And I found out that my Welsh forebears were from all over the place, from the Gower.
Yeah. Oh, good surf there.
From, that is the place, I tell you.
Yeah, totally. The surf is pumping.
For me, age 16, I have to tell you.
Brilliant stuff. Whole other podcast, right?
But Mid Wales was where my great 4 times grandfather, who has exactly the same name as my dad, Henry Howard Greenhouse, that's the name. My dad changed it because he thought it would look better on a billboard over a theatre.
Yeah, definitely. It just flows more, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah. So Greenhouse was the family name, but he is buried right up on the hill at the church outside Llandrindod Wells.
Ah, right. Okay.
And he's buried there, and he has about 22 children listed on his grave.
Wow, crikey.
Families. So essentially what it means is, Caiman, you and I are definitely related to
I'll go with that. Distant sister and brother, look, we'll go with that, yeah? Happy days. Wicked.
I'll stop talking now and let you ask something.
No, hey, you talk away. That's what you're here for. Like I said at the top, this conversation between you and I, that's all it is.
Having a chat, aren't we?
Exactly. Having a natter. Having a good old natter.
Yeah. Can I mind if I drink my coffee?
No, crack on. I'll join you. Cheers.
Cheers, darling. Cheers to you.
So yeah, you've obviously seen the Tristan Simon podcast, which I did a couple of weeks ago. That was fantastic. They were great. Small confession for you. I did drop a message. Obviously, we were due on 11 a.m. today. I did drop my message saying, guys, I've got Sarah Greene on. Do you fancy gate crashing at 20 past 11, just jumping in randomly? But sadly, they both had prior engagements, so they were unable to do it. Obviously, Simon's busy with Medi Cinema, doing lots of work there. Yes, Trevor's got lots on at the moment as well. But they both sent their deepest regards. And they both spoke very highly of you. So
thanks for trying that. Thanks for trying.
I thought it would have been a lot of fun, but it was just timing wasn't with us, unfortunately. But
that's lovely. But no, they're both really busy, and they're and Simon's Medi Cinema idea. In case people weren't watching, he essentially is involved with and runs one of the cinemas, which is a cinema built within a hospital where beds can be rolled in and people can see first showings of movies. And I mean, it is just such a tremendous idea.
It's a brilliant idea, a great concept, and it's working, and he's doing wonderful with it by all accounts. He just did a half marathon on Sunday as well for Medi Cinema, and
he's as fit as a fit thing, isn't he?
Yeah, you know,
yeah,
fair play. You know, I run to the kitchen for my tea, and I'm shattered, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's something I shall have to remedy after lockdown when
Well, the only thing I'd say to you is don't go too mad on it, because you know your knees will be going far longer than Simon's, I would imagine, you know, because this running malarkey, I don't think it's for everyone. And I say that just trying to let myself off the hook.
That's it. Well, whatever works, eh? But my knees, talking to my knees, they are shattered already. I used to be a professional wrestler, so they've had a beating. They've been around the block a few times already. So I've probably got an 80-year-old's knees holding me up at the moment. So
Well, there are such things as replacements. So you were a wrestler.
Back in the day, back in the day. I retired in 2000.
In the day, you're only about 12.
Ah, God bless you. You say the nicest things. What
was your name? Was Caiman the wrestler?
Yeah, Caiman, just Caiman, the crocodilian psycho. Yeah, that's it. But you know, I'm not as crazy as I used to be. You know, not as psychotic as I used to be, depending on who you speak to. But it's fun and games. I got into it in the early 2000s, retired in 2009, then returned in 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, etc. You know, it's like I said to Tristan Simon, it's like the mafia. Once you're in, getting out, it's not really doable.
You're never gonna get out. No.
One day, right? But my knees are pulling me out of it now. Anyway, can we talk going live?
Why not?
Obviously, my first memory of yourself being my first lady of television, if I may say, okay, Sarah, was on Saturday Superstore, I believe. And then it pretty much drafted straight into going live for me then when I started watching Saturday morning television. Yourself, Phil Schofield, as I call him, great television duo. How was it on going live? You had fantastic guests. You got to work with some great people on the show. Tristan Simon. Well, first of all, what was it like working with Tristan Simon? What was it like with Phil Schofield?
Well, it was such a privilege actually to be involved with Saturday morning television, full stop.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it was enjoyable in a nutshell. I had done 3 years on Blue Peter, which was also an extraordinary experience for someone who was used to only playing characters, adopting somebody else's persona on screen or on stage, and trying to learn how to be yourself, because the first time you stand in front of a camera, particularly without a character to play. On Blue Peter there was a script, albeit I got to rewrite it a bit and
make it your own.
As the months and years went by on that, I got more confident about doing that. But there was a script because it was only 24 minutes long. So, you know, as it's live and it's leading up to the news, you have to keep to a certain time. So it was a fantastic training in how to be yourself, because I honestly, the first time you're standing there in the studio and you've not got a character to get hold of, it's like standing there with no clothes on. I mean,
you're exposed.
Oh no, you know what's going, and it takes some getting used to. So Blue Peter really helped there. And then when I was on Saturday Superstore, that was a sort of progression towards feeling absolutely comfortable on live television. By the time I got to going live, I was so much more involved in the production side of it, actually, in the content and in the way things would be structured or not structured.
We'll come to that.
Yes, and how you would help to make things happen, you know.
And
So you'd got a running order for 3¼ hours. You knew what was coming where, and you knew when you had to hit certain points, say the big cartoon or Double Dare or
Double Dare.
one of the fixed points that was coming into the show that wasn't live, and you had to hit those points. But within each item, it was up to you to decide how it would go. And the director would have the trust and the faith in you to put together that little piece with a guest.
Yeah.
And let him or her know if there was going to be anything that might occur. Are you suddenly going to run across the studio, or do you want somebody in the back shot, or whatever? And we would literally put that together. The running order would be established on the previous Monday. Go away, pick up bits of research during the week if you needed it. A meeting to go through the running order on Friday.
Yeah.
Anything that Tristan Simon had to rehearse on Friday afternoon with costumes or anything like that. Do the live trail on Friday afternoon, and then you do it. Hit the ground running.
Brilliant.
On Saturday morning, and within this, that gives you such scope to enjoy and to respond and to be interactive with an audience who in those days we couldn't get an email straight in. We couldn't carry around a tablet and see what people were thinking of things straight away. It had to come in either on a phone line, which we used.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the phone lines next.
We could respond to that. And so, in a sense, it did empower the audience sometimes in ways that you wouldn't anticipate. As far as the sort of target audience were concerned, and certainly the kids who came into the studio, they were all very much part of it. And it did feel like being at a party, but hopefully a party that was being as much enjoyed by the audience at home as it was by the people in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of zoo format radio, or where it looks as though everyone's having a ball, but I'm sitting at home, maybe by myself, and just thinking, oh gosh, I don't feel part of this.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Was a little bit more, something that really came through the screen, and it was still on a one-to-one basis as far as that was concerned. I hope so.
Stuff. Yeah, fantastic. So you mentioned the phone lines there. I'd like to talk to you a bit about the phone lines. So a bit of nostalgia, a bit of trivia for you, really. Do you remember the first telephone number before the 018? 081?
It would have been 01.
Yeah.
811 8181.
It was actually 018 118 055.
805. See, I didn't.
See, hey,
there you are.
Point Caiman.
Yeah, point Caiman. Yeah. Ding to Sarah. Yeah.
And for another useless piece of trivia, do you remember who you shared that first number with once a month on the BBC?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Now it's either Crime Watch or
Back of the net. It is. Yeah. Bang on.
Ding, 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 ding. I got one.
Well done. One
that
all.
Always slightly used to make me laugh that we shared the number with Crime Watch. And one for you, Caiman.
Oh, look out.
What was the other program which shared it was a one-off that shared the phone number?
Okay. I think you got me now. I think you're going to win this one, Sarah.
You will kick yourself.
So, do we get a small clue at all or not?
No, because it was so big. I don't think I'm going to give you a clue. Shall I give him a clue? What clue can I give that isn't going to give it? Because you will kick yourself.
I'm going to. I'm already kicking myself, and I haven't even got it wrong yet.
All right, can I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
Ghostwatch.
I'm coming to that in a bit as well if we get time, all right? I'm coming to that in a bit. That's the same number as well for that, 1992 Ghostwatch.
It wasn't the 8055. I think we'd moved on by now.
Yeah. 081 811 8181. Yeah.
It shared the number just for one.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. Sticking with the phone lines on Going Live at the moment. Some interesting callers.
Yes, a real cross section.
Yeah.
I don't think they hadn't quite hadn't quite got their heads around the idea of a delay.
Yeah. Do you remember when 5 Star were on?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I think
What
everybody does.
you?
And even people who weren't born remember when 5 Star was on, because it's been either shown
Yeah.
or watched on YouTube so many times. Yeah.
I remember it. I remember it happening back in the day, live in living color. I remember it happening.
You were there. You were there.
Yeah, I was there for the moment. I was totally.
Yeah.
My uncle Philip, then it was myself and my cousin Christopher watching it with our bowls of cereal. My uncle Philip then, what was that? What was that? It was
Just go like this.
Yeah.
Cereal bowl.
That's all. Me and my cousin were like, naughty, yeah, But my uncle Philip, he was like, oh, how'd that happen? Like, but I must say, I've watched it again this past week, as one would. You handled it remarkably well, ever the professional, and I salute you for that.
Oh, did I? Well.
But what was going on inside your mind at that time?
Well, partly, I don't know. I mean, it's. You'll know this from doing what you're doing now. Your concentration, when you're meant to be sort of vaguely in charge of an interview, your concentration, you're thinking, you're multitasking, aren't you? All the time, you're thinking. And I remember thinking, I'd just done some filming with 5 Star at a hospital. In fact, it was at a hospice. It was for the Christmas show, or I'd done it a few months earlier, I think, and I really felt for them, because they didn't deserve that. They really didn't deserve it, and you just kind of knew that was going to either be in the news, and that was going to become the thing that they were at least
known for. Yeah,
known for. And they were, they were an extraordinary band, because, if you thought the Osmonds were sort of perfection or perfect or Jackson, they were so immaculate and beautiful. And it was sort of a bit shattering, really, for them, and not half as much for me, because I sort of felt for them. And then there was a part of me that knew that if I'd been watching this at home when I was a kid, I'd have thought it was hilarious.
Absolutely. As did myself and my little cousin Chris.
Yeah. And it's just like, and it kind of, it's like, oh, this is naughty, and we love watching.
It was like a little Easter egg. It was like a little treat. Dare I say it?
But looking back now, you do know who's sitting next to me, the little boy who's sitting next to me, don't you? You know who he is.
Go on.
Well, who he was then, but who we all know him now, is Michael McIntyre.
No.
If you look at
never made that connection at all.
And you look at the little boy who's there, it is Michael McIntyre.
He wasn't behind it, was he?
Well, not saying anything. There's been a little jape set up. I don't know. No, and Elliot Fletcher, I think that was the name of the caller. Well, yeah. The name.
Yeah. The name.
The nom de phone. I think how many people have claimed to be Elliot Fletcher? It's really funny. It's like people who claim they've seen Elvis,
Yeah.
And he's got so many different personas around the country. Yeah, but no, there were a couple of things like that, really. I think Mike Reid had one too with Matt Bianco. That was quite funny. Not quite as aggressive, actually.
Yeah. What was that one?
Not quite.
Briefly?
Well, it was a Matt Bianco. I think you're a bunch of, and it sort of vaguely rhymed with Bianco.
Oh, right. Okay, I got you. Yeah. I can do the maths.
Yeah. But I think then, not long after, they must have brought in the whole idea of a delay, which kind of took all the fun out of it.
Yeah. Well,
but generally speaking, the whole phone thing. It looks so clunky now, because we're holding up phones.
Yeah, but back then it was fantastic.
Big phones.
Yeah, but for that day, that's
that was our means of access.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said at the top, that's me trying to get hold of you on the phone for 30 years, by the way. I'd always try and ring in, and I'd always go beep, 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 beep. It's like, oh, come on. And then on a Thursday, I'd get through to crime watch straight away, Trying to get hold of you, Sarah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's, hey, you're here now. All's well that ends
I'm
well.
making for it now.
Exactly. So yeah, there was a couple of incidents with guests as well on there. You had some cracking guests on there as well. There was a cringy one I came across the other day. There was Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark. Do you remember that one?
They were in the Beastie Boys, weren't they?
It was it? No, it was Hang Tough. What they called that first boy band that kind of came on the scene.
I thought the Wahlberg, because Donnie and Mark were both in the same band, weren't they?
Yeah, was it not New Kids on the Block? No.
Oh, maybe it was New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, I think so. I may be wrong. I'm by no means a boy band expert. You could tell by the hair and the beard.
Well, I should be, and I'm not. So. I far more remember the wrestlers who came on.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, what are your memories of those then? Quickly, as that's my forte.
Oh, well, who did we have? Hogan, we had Giant Haystacks.
Oh, wow.
And here's the difference between either New Kids on the Block or Beastie Boys. Actually, let's say both.
Yeah, let's say whichever.
And the wrestlers. The thing about those wrestlers, they know their audience.
Totally, 100%.
They know their audience. They know where they know where their bread is buttered, if you know what I mean. And they play up to that.
They do every time.
Are hugely entertaining, very generous with their time, very generous with the kids, and it goes well. It's a good bit of live telly,
I find with wrestlers, they're always professional. It's always right. This is the job, and they put everything in it just to get the job done, whatever it is. And they're always, because time is instilled in you when you're a wrestler, right? You've got this match, you've got 11 minutes on TV, and you've got to do that match in 11 minutes, or you're having a new one ripped.
Best training for live television. Then.
Definitely.
You've got this inbuilt timing scheme. No, I remind me about. I'm sorry, Marky Mark.
No, I just thought it was. He was talking, and you seemed a bit by it as well. He was just making innuendos to some of the girls in the audience and everything. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, that's always going to go well on it. Most of them are about 12.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm not sure if he knew that. He probably did not, But again, handled like a professional.
Those guys, I mean, when they came in on a Saturday morning, they had probably not been to bed for very long. They may even have just flown in on the red eye. I don't think they had, but I tell you that was the extraordinary difference. There was a sort of genre, and they were mainly the American young bands.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I put them in the same category as the Beastie Boys. That all the wonderful things I said about the wrestlers, it didn't come naturally to them, and partly probably because they were knackered.
That's it. Yeah. Just waiting for bed,
and didn't quite get what they'd come into. And I don't know whether there was the equivalent show in the States. So they were traveling around doing as many shows as they could in that time, and the managers and the management and everything, getting them in on a bit of a junket, except that they were having to travel around, not having people come to them like the movie stars do. And so they probably were completely tired, and he probably thought it was entirely appropriate to kind of be, I don't know whether you call it flirtatious or a bit sort of lewd with people who were clearly underage. I mean, a horrendous idea. But then you move forward to the boy bands that we think of as being the British boy bands, the Irish boy bands, and it couldn't be more different.
That's it.
And people like Take That is the classic example, because I think we were the first show that Take That appeared on live.
Awesome.
And they, I don't think they had to have it instilled in them where they were and the right way to behave. They just wanted to have great fun, because I suppose they'd grown up with the culture of Saturday morning television.
That's it, exactly. And they were honoured probably to be a part of it.
they'd have known, what was going on, and they were immediately a part of it. I mean, so much so that Robbie Williams ended up co-hosting.
Yeah.
In this second to final year. I mean, he came in and actually was a presenter on it for a little while.
Fantastic.
But no, there was a great generosity with those bands as well. Fantastic.
Brilliant stuff. No, excellent. So out of all the guests you had on, so was it the wrestlers that impacted you the most, or is there someone that stands out in mind? I'm not putting words in your mouth or anything.
No. Well, over that period of time, because bear in mind that across the whole of Saturday mornings, 4 years on Superstore and 6 years on going live, that's a long time to be on a certain slot. And the guests were, the range of guests was phenomenal, really.
Absolutely.
The genre of guests, everything from the quite serious, in the format of the show, press conference guests who could be health ministers, education ministers, Margaret Thatcher. I mean, from that end, right through to Diana Ross, Paul McCartney, Elton John, Sir George Schulte,
amazing,
actor, who Dudley Moore singing me happy birthday.
That's awesome.
And Barry Manilow actually sticks in my mind tremendously, because he did the most fantastic thing for me. I mentioned to you the sort of what we do to prepare for each show, and on a Friday after the big meeting in studio, they would rehearse music numbers, and Tristan Simon would rehearse some of their stuff, and I had to pop into the studio to just set some stuff up in there. And while I was in there, one of the camera operators, of a lovely man called Nigel, was sat at the piano standing in for Barry, so that they could get all the shots set up for Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
But he wasn't just sitting in, he was playing and singing, and he did it really well. And the candelabra was on the grand piano.
Brilliant.
It was all set up, and I just listened to him, and when he finished, everybody clapped in the studio, and I said, "Nige, that was fun." He said, "I am Barry Manilow's biggest fan." And I'd also noticed that in profile they looked really similar.
Amazing.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So I said, so you're looking forward to tomorrow? I said, oh God, I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. But to be able to sit and play at the same piano that Barry's going to play at, for me, is a dream come true. So I just tucked that one away. I parked that. The next morning, just before the show arrived, just as the show went on air, and Barry had arrived with his entourage, and he was in his dressing room. I went and I explained to him what I'd seen the afternoon before. And I said, "Look, Barry, would you mind? I have an idea for this, and I wonder if you would go with me on it."
Yeah.
And he's quite he's much taller. I was looking up at him, and I was feeling a little bit struck, as one would, to one of, I think, the greatest songwriters. You know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, without fail.
You can't deny the man knows how to write a hit.
Absolutely, yeah. The proof is in the pudding,
isn't it? Anyway, so he just said, "Sarah, I'll go with you on this. Man sounds completely delightful." And I said, "He is more than delightful, and you won't regret this. Honestly, you won't." So we did the interview, and Barry did his song, and I just leant across the piano and I said, "Barry, would you mind terribly? I hate to interrupt you midstream, but would you mind if we just went a different route with this? This is live on air.
Yeah.
If I bring in Nigel, would you come over here? Nigel's on camera 3. Would you come over here?" And Nigel's face, he said, "Nigel, I understand you know the music, and maybe you like to take this part and I'll take that part, and we'll perform this together."
That's amazing.
Yeah, side by side on the piano stool. And the other guys knew, so they knew to take over his shot.
They were all clued in, were they?
And they got the shot of them side by side in profile. And Barry, bless his heart, at that moment, he said, "Nigel, you and I, we do look very similar. And Nigel was just on cloud nine. And it was just lovely because it was something that everybody could share, you know, and he went with that. And that showed a whole different side of Barry Manilow.
Definitely. Giving back, you know, giving something for nothing as well, you know.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, a magical moment.
And it's something that people are watching happen as it's happening, and it's not rehearsed and people don't know about it. So it's a genuine unfolding of a story.
That's brilliant.
And that is another wonderful thing about working on a show like that. And I feel, as I say, when I use the word privileged, I really mean it, because there aren't many places that you can do that, have that kind of fun.
Absolutely not. And Nigel just went straight back to work then, I thought.
Yeah, no, I think he's still camera operator. I mean, he was very, very young then, and now he's, of course, top of the tree, you know, head camera person of the BBC probably. But I know he would never forget that.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh no, that's just magic. That is absolute magic, absolute television magic.
So those sort of stories are the things that and Diana Ross standing in the queue at the Greene tea bar and bringing her tea in and wanting to join in all the other stuff on the show. I mean, you know, when people tell you that people behave like divas, never believe them.
Yeah, that's it.
When it's said about women, because it's very rarely true. And often it's been because they wanted to do things really well. And that's something I discovered.
No, fair play. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, I know you're a bit, you've got other things on today. Can we just touch a little bit on Ghostwatch as well? I remember as a child watching it, shaking like the proverbial dog. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is real. This is real. This is real. What was the story? What was the concept? And yeah, I remember later on at night then my mother saying, no, it's not real. Look, come and look at this. It's not real. Well, can you just talk us through a bit of that?
Well, the context of it was that on Saturday evenings in those days, there was a slot called Screen One. And it was the BBC making a film for broadcast on television. And a very, very brilliant writer called Stephen Voke had written a film called Ghostwatch. And it wasn't originally called Ghostwatch, I don't think, and when he first came up with the idea, because I think the other thing was he'd wanted it as done in episodes, and I can't remember what the evolution of it was to bring it down to. He found the person he wanted to direct it, called Leslie Manning, who directs feature films and had only ever directed drama, and she and he worked on this with the producer, a lady called Ruth Baumgarten in BBC Drama. And they decided it would be a really good idea to make the play, put it in the genre of a lot of programs of that era. You had Hospital Watch, Airport Watch, Rail Watch. I mean, I'd done Hospital Watch and Airport Watch.
Yeah.
Now we've got Spring Watch, Nature Watch.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's the idea that you are essentially live, and you are looking at something unfolding again. And so they put it. They made it as a mockumentary, and we took 2 months to film, January and August. In 1992, 100 years ago, I know.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
A heat wave. And of course, when it was due to go out, it was going to be October 31st.
That's right.
So much cooler. So we had to cloak the house that it was shot in black felt, in a heat wave.
Oh, great.
But it was cold and it was scary.
Yeah.
So there was quite a lot of performing involved.
Act cold for a start.
And for me, it was a sort of lovely marriage of all the stuff that I'd done as an actress over the years, marrying that and playing myself, and marrying that with the sort of improvisational qualities of other programs that I'd worked on. So there was a script, there were scripted moments, but within the bullet points, it was very much improvised, very much. So that all my interactions with the girls, with the two little girls in the house, weren't really scripted.
All right, okay,
We knew the story that had to be told.
And just sort of ad-libbed it between you.
And we ad-libbed it, yes, and more or less did it as live.
Awesome, brilliant.
As much as we could. And the thing of also the interaction with Mike, the sound guy who looked like Adrian Edmondson, camera operator Chris, and so there was that same feeling of a team in this house together. But there was a credit at the front saying this is a Screen One presentation written by Stephen Vogt, directed by Leslie Manning. So there was no way that if you knew that language, that grammar, that vernacular in television, you realised that it wasn't live. But of course, what happened was a lot of people joined the show when they switched over, when the news was on ITV. So they would have missed the opening title sequence and come into it.
I think that's what I did.
3-4 minutes in, and it would have appeared to have been live. So very terrifying for some people, very hilarious for others. It
was just great for me and my mates. It was just like, oh, boys, look at this. This is really going on,
Yes. Well, again, you're sharing in something that's unfolding.
Yeah.
But it is extraordinary. If you've done one of 3 shows, you tend to go into a certain category of appearing on cult television. And those 3 shows are Blue Peter, Doctor Who, and Ghostwatch. Yeah. So I've sort of got the hat trick there.
That's awesome.
And it was quite interesting that when I did a couple of tours of a show, really, God, talk about having fun on this show, a show called The Vagina Monologues.
Crikey.
And I've done quite a few versions of that. And you do it with 2 other actresses normally. Mine were Leslie Joseph and Mylene Klass.
Brilliant.
And when you've done that show, so people know where you are because you're performing live, so you're at the Theatre Royal Bath. And a lot of the chaps who like to collect autographs of people who are on Ghostwatch or Blue Peter or Doctor Who were waiting by the stage door. And 100% of the time I say, so did you come and see the show? What did you think? Did you learn anything? Oh no, I didn't come and see the show. No,
what?
That's terrifying.
Get slick.
So 2 different audiences that never quite came together.
Yeah.
So, well, pluck up courage. You might find you enjoy it more than you think.
No, that's it. Just jump in and get involved.
Yeah, not pressure about jumping in, but
Last question quickly before we wrap up. 2017, you were reunited. I think it was 2017 anyway. Reunited with Philip Schofield on television.
Oh gosh, yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I loved it. I mean, that would be the closest thing to getting back that feeling of just the live television.
Yeah.
Being with Phil, who is, I was going to say he's like a brother. I mean, he's a friend, but he is like a brother as well. And when you've shared that screen space on live with each other, you can sort of read each other. And people call it chemistry, I suppose. But
that's it.
It's not. That doesn't sound very friendly in some way. It sounds very chemical. But it is. You do sort of. There's a lot of chemistry going on, osmosis. Call it what you like. But you just read each other.
You just sort of click together,
And I mean, the only thing is, things are much more tightly structured on This Morning, so you can't go off on quite such a tangent if you want to. There are things like ad breaks that you have to hit, which governs things slightly.
Absolutely.
But it was great. And as I said at the time, and what we both did really, the only weird thing about it was that it wasn't weird.
Yeah, it just worked. It just worked. It was just like you'd never been away sort of thing.
Yeah, really.
Brilliant stuff. It was nice to see. For me, that was a nice nostalgia trip, a nice little reunion for me as well. It was like, oh, there they are. They're back. Brilliant. This works. This is magic.
Yes, yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, a few years later. Yeah, no, it was a lovely thing to do. Really enjoyed that. And then went on and I did a few bits with Rylan across the summer there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Very, very enjoyable. But the next bit of live I'm doing is in June. So
excellent. Let's talk about that quickly.
So that is it's, although it's based in London, and it's only an hour and a half. Gosh, that's going to seem like 5 minutes.
To you.
And it's all about, in central London, we've got the lungs, what they call the lungs, like you've got the parks, the little garden squares and the little, and there is an organisation called the London Gardens Trust, and they always they're all opened up for the public to come and visit, and they to do that last year. And we're not sure that they will be fully open this year.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I'm going to be doing from a studio. I will be linking up the whole of, and it's not just London; it's the whole world. And you will get to see some very special behind-the-scenes places, gardens. If I just say Buckingham Palace.
Oh, fantastic!
And you might not be a gardener yourself, Caiman. I'm not sure, but it's just a chance to be nosy. Yeah,
that's it. And who doesn't like being nosy?
I am the nosiest person on the planet. And that's when I was asked if I'd like to do this, I seized the opportunity with both hands. So
fantastic. And I really appreciate it.
June the 12th, that is.
June the 12th. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant stuff. I shall certainly look out for that. That's great. Before we go, I got to say, my beautiful girlfriend Amy is a massive fan of yours and speaks very highly. So would you mind just saying hello to Amy for me?
Amy? Hello, my darling. And all I can say is what a lovely fella you've got.
Oh.
Then again, you know that, and you're obviously a woman of taste. So.
God bless you. I'm going to edit that bit and just use that on a loop here, there, and everywhere if I may. Fantastic. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a genuine pleasure. I was so excited earlier on. I could have peed, Oh. In fact, hang on a second. Oh no!
Would you do me one favor?
Absolutely.
Would you say fabulous for me?
I will say that for you, no problem at all, because it is what you have been. You've been an awesome guest. You have been nothing short of fabulous.
Oh, you see, that was
fabulous,
my dad.
Fabulous. That's
how he said it. He'd say fabulous. That's how he said it. And
absolutely fabulous.
Medicine for my soul hearing.
I'm glad to hear it. Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck with everything. I shall be keeping an eye out, not in a stalky way, in a nice way. And good luck. God bless. Stay safe. Okay. Thanks so much for coming on.
You take care.
You too. All the best. Bye-bye.